Hello, everyone. I am the sleep storyteller, and I am here to help you today. I know you use this video to fall asleep, so before we begin, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps out a lot. Also, let me know in the comments, where are you from and what time are you listening? Now get comfortable and relax. The night air hung heavy with mist, curling through the ancient streets of Yharnam like whispers from a forgotten dream. The cobbled paths, slick with the evening's dampness, shimmered beneath the dim glow of lanterns swaying gently in the hush of midnight. You walked with measured steps, the sound of your boots softened by the silence that stretched endlessly around you. There was no fear, no urgency, only the quiet pull of something unseen, guiding you deeper into the slumbering city. The scent of rain lingered in the air, mingling with the faint aroma of old parchment and the distant trace of something metallic, like a memory lost to time. The towering spires of Yharnam's grand architecture loomed above, their silhouettes softened by the silver light of the moon, which hung low and luminous in the sky. Each building, each winding alley, seemed to whisper secrets that had been kept for centuries, and yet there was a strange comfort in it all, as though the city itself was cradling you in a dream you had wandered into long ago. A slow mist drifted through the abandoned streets, swirling in lazy patterns at your feet. Somewhere in the distance, the faint toll of a bell echoed, deep and melodic, as if calling from another realm. You followed the sound, your hands brushing against the cool stone of an old iron gate, its bars wrapped in ivy. It creaked open effortlessly at your touch, revealing a garden overgrown with wild roses, their petals pale as the stars above. A path wound through the blooms, their fragrance rich and intoxicating, filling the air with something ancient and sweet. The wind stirred gently, rustling through the ivy-covered walls and carrying the soft murmur of voices, dreamlike, distant, barely more than a lullaby hummed by the city itself. As you walked deeper into the garden, the world around you felt lighter, as though reality itself was dissolving into something softer, something more ethereal. Fireflies flickered between the leaves, their glow pulsing in rhythm with the slow, steady beat of your heart. Ahead, nestled among the roses, stood an old wooden bench, worn smooth by time. A figure sat there, cloaked in deep blue, their presence as familiar as the hush of night. Their face remained hidden beneath the folds of their hood, but when they spoke, their voice was soft, carrying the warmth of an old friend. "You have wandered far," they murmured, their words settling over you like the hush of snowfall. "But do not be afraid. Yharnam is only a dream, and dreams are meant to be explored." The words lingered in the air as you lowered yourself onto the bench beside them, the world around you fading into a deeper tranquility. The stars above shimmered brighter, and the garden swayed in the night's gentle embrace. Somewhere beyond, the city continued its quiet slumber, waiting, always waiting, for the dream to unfold. Kayatum Part 2, Shuru Karna Chahod. Smiling face with smiling eyes. Hash hash, you said. Next, ChatGPT said. Part 2. The silence between you and the cloaked figure was not empty. It was filled with something soft, like the hush of a lullaby just before sleep takes hold. The roses around you swayed gently, their petals shimmering in the silver light of the moon, as if they too were listening. The figure beside you exhaled a slow breath, their presence steady, unhurried, as though they had been waiting here for you long before you arrived. You are a traveler between waking and dream, they murmured, their voice blending with the rustling leaves. Yharnam calls to those who seek, though few ever find what they are looking for. The words carried no warning, no urgency, only the weight of something that had been spoken countless times before. You glanced toward them, but their face remained hidden beneath their hood, as if the very fabric of their cloak was woven from the mist itself. The garden around you felt endless, stretching beyond the edges of sight, filled with flowers that had grown untouched for centuries. The scent of roses, damp earth, and something faintly sweet lingered in the cool air, lulling you deeper into the quiet dream. Somewhere beyond the garden walls, the city shifted in its slumber. The distant toll of a bell rang once more, slow and deep, like the heartbeat of Yharnam itself. You felt no fear, only a gentle curiosity, as though the sound was a familiar melody calling you forward. The cloaked figure turned slightly, their hood tilting toward the path beyond the gate. "Would you like to see?" they asked, their voice carrying the softness of a whisper against the wind. You stood, your steps light against the cobblestone, as you followed them through the garden's winding path. The iron gate groaned open once more, revealing a street bathed in the soft glow of lanterns, their flickering flames casting golden pools of light upon the worn stones. The mist curled around the buildings, shifting like a living thing, but there was no menace in its movement, only a gentle embrace, as if the very air itself was cradling the city in an eternal dream. The figure led you forward, their footsteps making no sound. The streets stretched endlessly, winding through narrow alleyways and wide courtyards where fountains lay still, their waters reflecting the star-laden sky above. In the distance, a great cathedral loomed, its towering spires reaching toward the heavens, adorned with intricate carvings that seemed almost to move beneath the moon's gaze. The path toward it was quiet, save for the occasional flicker of candlelight behind shuttered windows, where unseen figures rested in deep, dreamless sleep. As you walked, a soft hum drifted through the air, low, melodic, as if the city itself was singing. It was neither sad nor joyous, but something in between, a song without words that carried the weight of time itself. You paused, listening, feeling the sound wrap around you like a warm embrace. The cloaked figure stopped beside you, their head tilting slightly, as though they, too, were listening to the song. "The city remembers," they murmured, their voice barely more than a breath. "It remembers all who have wandered its streets, all who have dreamed within its walls." For a moment, the world felt still. The air was thick with something unspoken, something ancient yet familiar, as though you had been here before, in another time, another dream. The cloaked figure turned to you once more, their unseen gaze steady. Do you wish to go further? The cathedral loomed ahead, its great doors standing open in quiet invitation. Beyond them, the dream stretched onward, waiting to unfold. Kayatum Part 3, Shiru Karna Chahod. Smiling face with smiling eyes. Hash hash, you said. Next, hash hash, ChatGPT said. Part 3. A gentle breeze stirred the mist as you stepped forward, your gaze fixed upon the cathedral's towering entrance. The great doors, carved with intricate patterns of swirling stars and winding roots, stood ajar, their ancient wood worn smooth by time. A soft golden light spilled from within, casting long shadows across the stone path. The cloaked figure remained by your side, silent yet steady, as though they had walked this path countless times before. The moment you crossed the threshold, the air changed. The scent of roses and damp earth faded, replaced by something softer, aged parchment, candle wax, the faintest trace of lavender. The cathedral's interior stretched far beyond what the outside had suggested, its vaulted ceiling disappearing into a haze of shimmering starlight. Candles flickered in their sconces, casting gentle halos upon the polished marble floor, where intricate mosaics told stories too old to be remembered. At the center of the vast hall, a great circular window bathed the space in pale moonlight. The glass, painted with celestial patterns, seemed to shift as you gazed upon it, the constellations moving ever so slightly, as though caught between moments of time. Beneath this ethereal glow, a long wooden table stretched across the room, set with silver goblets and delicate porcelain cups, each filled with a shimmering, pale blue liquid that swirled like liquid moonlight. The cloaked figure gestured toward the table. The city offers gifts to those who dream, they murmured. Drink, if you wish to see. You hesitated, gazing upon the untouched cups. The air carried a quiet stillness, as if the very walls of the cathedral were waiting for your choice. The liquid within the goblet closest to you shimmered invitingly, its glow pulsing in time with the steady hush of your own breath. Lifting the cup, you brought it to your lips. The taste was unlike anything you had ever known, cool and weightless, like drinking the essence of a forgotten star. As the liquid passed your lips, a warmth spread through your chest, gentle and lulling, as though a long-lost memory was unfolding within you. The cathedral around you blurred, its edges softening, its light shifting into something more luminous, more dreamlike. A quiet sound echoed through the vast space, the turning of pages, slow and rhythmic, as if a great unseen book was being read by the city itself. The mosaics beneath your feet shimmered, their ancient stories coming to life in delicate, silvered light. You saw glimpses of figures in long robes, their faces obscured, tracing constellations upon parchment older than time. You saw Yharnam as it once was, before the mist, before the silence, its streets filled with voices, laughter, and the soft chime of bells that carried through the twilight air. The cloaked figure watched you, presence steady. "You are seeing the city as it remembers itself," they said, their voice barely more than a whisper. "Memories and dreams are woven together here, bound by time's quiet embrace." The visions swirled around you, shifting like ink upon water. You saw glimpses of the cathedral as it once stood, its halls filled with scholars and seekers, those who had walked these paths before you, searching for truths hidden between waking and dream. The feeling was not sadness, nor longing, but something gentler, as if the city itself had been waiting for someone to remember. Slowly, the light dimmed, and the great window above returned to stillness. The cathedral's quiet hush settled once more, and the cup in your hands was empty, its glow fading like the remnants of a dream just before waking. The cloaked figure stepped forward, their hood tilting slightly, as if observing the quiet understanding now resting upon you. "The dream does not end here," they murmured. "Shall we continue?" Beyond the cathedral's farthest archway, a stairway descended into the mist, its path unknown, its destination waiting. Kaya Tumpart 4, Shiru Karna Chahod. Smiling face with smiling eyes. Hash hash, you said. Next, hash hash, ChatGPT said. Part 4. The soft hush of the cathedral lingered behind you as you stepped toward the descending stairway. The air felt lighter, carrying the faint scent of parchment and candle smoke, as though the walls themselves had exhaled a memory. The cloaked figure moved soundlessly beside you, their presence neither leading nor following, only existing in quiet harmony with the path ahead. The stairway spiraled downward, each step smooth and worn by countless footsteps before yours. The mist curled along the edges, shifting like a living thing, but it carried no weight, no threat, only the gentle pull of something unseen, something waiting to be found. Your hand brushed the cool stone of the banister, tracing patterns etched long ago, their shapes resembling constellations, maps of unknown skis. As you descended, the space around you shifted. The walls stretched wider, the ceiling softened into darkness, and soon the staircase opened into a vast underground chamber bathed in the glow of floating lanterns. They drifted weightlessly in the air, their light pulsing gently like fireflies caught in an eternal lull. The floor beneath you was smooth marble, veined with silver that shimmered like stardust. Pools of water, still as glass, reflected the lanterns above, creating the illusion of endless sky beneath your feet. A quiet sound rippled through the space, the distant murmur of voices, layered upon one another, soft and unintelligible, as if whispered by the walls themselves. The cloaked figure paused beside you, their unseen gaze turning toward the far end of the chamber, where a great stone archway stood, half veiled in mist. Beyond it, the path stretched into darkness, vast and unknowable. "You have walked deeper than most," they murmured, their voice carrying the weight of something both ancient and kind. Few reach this place. Fewer still remember it. You glanced toward them, but they remained still, their features obscured by the gentle folds of their hood. The floating lanterns swayed slightly, as if caught in an unseen tide, their reflections rippling upon the glass-like pools below. The quiet murmur of voices grew softer, fading into the hush of the chamber, leaving only the sound of your own breath and the distant rhythm of your heartbeat. Something shimmered in the air ahead, a thread of silver light, thin and delicate as spun moonlight, stretching from the archway into the unseen beyond. It pulsed gently, like the lingering echo of a forgotten melody. The cloaked figure lifted a hand, tracing the air beside it, though they did not touch the light itself. "This is a memory long left behind," they said, "a path forgotten, yet not lost. If you wish to follow, you may." The silver thread pulsed once more, leading forward, weaving through the mist like the path of a falling star. The air carried a quiet stillness, neither urging nor resisting, only waiting, patient and eternal. Your footsteps made no sound as you stepped closer, the silver glow reflecting in the pools below. The archway loomed ahead, its ancient stone adorned with faded carvings, symbols half remembered, words unspoken. Beyond it, the dream stretched onward, vast and endless, waiting to be discovered. The cloaked figure turned toward you once more, their voice barely more than a whisper. "Shall we continue?" The dream had not yet ended. Kayatum Part 5, Shiru Karna Chahod. Smiling face with smiling eyes. Hash hash, you said. Next, hash hash, ChatGPT said. Part 5. The silver thread shimmered as you stepped beneath the archway, its glow pulsing like a heartbeat woven into the fabric of the dream. The air beyond was softer, weightless, as though the mist itself had thinned into nothing but a memory. The cloaked figure walked beside you, their presence steady, unhurried. There was no fear, no urgency, only the quiet rhythm of the unseen path unfolding beneath your feet. The space around you stretched into something vast yet intimate, neither a corridor nor a hall, but a place between places, where the walls were formed of starlit mist, and the ceiling was an endless sky without a horizon. The silver thread wound forward, leading through the dream like the soft melody of an old song. Shadows drifted along the edges of the mist, shapes without form, echoes of those who had walked this path before. They did not speak, nor did they linger. They simply moved, passing through the dream like fallen leaves, carried upon a silent river. The cloaked figure's voice was barely more than a breath. This is the space between waking and sleep, a place where memories settle before they fade. The mist curled around your fingertips as you reached toward it, cool and featherlight, dissolving like morning fog beneath the first touch of sunlight. Shapes flickered in the distance, towers half hidden in the haze, great spires that stretched toward unseen heavens, their forms shifting like reflections upon rippling water. A sense of familiarity stirred within you, though you could not place it. The feeling was neither joy nor sorrow, but something gentler, like the warmth of a half-remembered dream upon waking. The silver thread pulsed again, leading you forward. As you followed, the mist parted, revealing a great bridge suspended in nothingness. It was ancient, its stonework smooth and pale as moonlight, lined with lanterns whose flames burned without sound. The bridge stretched endlessly, disappearing into the dream's quiet horizon. The cloaked figure stepped onto it without hesitation, their movements as fluid as the mist itself. You followed, your footsteps silent against the worn stone, feeling the hush of the dream settle around you like the weight of time itself. The lanterns flickered as you passed, their light casting gentle halos upon the bridge, illuminating the carvings etched into the stone beneath your feet, symbols familiar yet unknown, words you could not read yet somehow understood. A single chime rang in the distance, low and melodic, as though a great unseen bell had been struck far beyond the edges of the dream. The sound rippled through the stillness, neither breaking it nor disturbing it, but becoming a part of it, blending seamlessly into the hush of the sleeping world. The bridge stretched onward, its path unwavering, its destination hidden beyond the veil of mist. The cloaked figure turned to you once more, their unseen gaze steady, as if waiting for something unspoken to settle within you. Their voice, when it came, was softer than before, barely more than the hush of a whisper against the wind. Do you wish to go further? The dream had not yet ended. Kaya Tum Part 6, Shiru Karna Chaho. Smiling face with smiling eyes. Hash hash, you said. Next, hash hash, ChatGPT said. Part 6. The bridge stretched endlessly into the mist, its lanterns flickering like distant stars caught between wakefulness and dream. Each step forward felt lighter, as though gravity itself had softened, letting you drift through the hush of the sleeping world. The cloaked figure walked beside you, their presence steady, unshaken by the endless expanse ahead. The mist swirled with a slow, rhythmic motion, neither concealing nor revealing, only existing as part of the dream's quiet fabric. Beneath your feet, the stone of the bridge felt impossibly smooth, as if time had worn away every imperfection, leaving only the memory of what once was. The air carried the faintest scent of rain, of parchment, of something soft and forgotten, like the trace of an old story whispered beneath the hush of twilight. After a time, though time itself seemed uncertain here, the mist began to thin, and a new shape emerged upon the bridge's farthest edge. A great doorway stood there, unmarked by age or ruin, its frame carved with constellations that pulsed faintly, their light shifting as if alive. The door itself was neither open nor closed, but something in between, waiting in patient stillness. The cloaked figure halted beside it, their hood tilting slightly, as if listening to something just beyond the veil of sound. The silver thread that had guided you through the dream stretched toward the doorway, its light fatting into the carvings, becoming part of the ancient stars that adorned the stone. This is the threshold, the cloaked figure murmured. Few reach it. Fewer still choose to cross. You gazed at the door, feeling no fear, only a quiet certainty as though you had always known this place, even if you could not remember how. The constellations upon the stone shifted gently, forming patterns that felt familiar, yet just beyond your grasp. The air was thick with possibility, neither urging you forward nor holding you back, only waiting for your choice. The cloaked figure turned toward you, their presence as soft as the hush of snowfall. To cross is to step beyond the dream as it is known, they said. To stay is to remain where the dream remembers itself. Their words were not a warning, nor a question, only a simple truth, offered without expectation. The door loomed before you, its glow pulsing like the steady rhythm of distant waves. Beyond it, the unknown stretched onward, boundless, waiting. For a moment, the world was silent. The lanterns did not flicker, the mist did not stir, and the hush of the dream held its breath. The choice was yours alone. Would you step forward into the unseen, or would you remain, cradled within the dream's quiet embrace? The cloaked figure stood beside you, waiting, not for an answer, but for the moment when you would decide. The dream had not yet ended. Kaya Tum Part 7, Shuru Karna Chaho. Smiling face with smiling eyes. Hash hash, you said. Next, hash hash, ChatGPT said. Part 7. The hush of the dream deepened as you stepped closer to the doorway. The constellations carved into its surface pulsed in slow, rhythmic waves, as if breathing in time with the silence itself. The cloaked figure remained at your side, still as the mist, their presence neither urging nor restraining, only witnessing. The stone beneath your fingers was cool, smooth, humming faintly with something ancient and unseen. The moment stretched endlessly, and yet, when you exhaled and placed your palm against the carvings, the world shifted, a soft sound, like the turning of 1,000 pages, whispered through the air. The constellations shimmered, unraveling like silver threads, spiraling outward into the mist. The doorway did not open in the way a door should. It simply ceased to be, dissolving into weightless starlight, revealing the space beyond. It was not darkness that waited on the other side, nor light, but something softer, a vast, endless expanse, where sky and sea seemed to merge into a single, fluid horizon. The air carried no wind, no scent, only the gentle quiet of something untouched by time. The water stretched infinitely, still as glass, reflecting a sky filled with shifting constellations, their patterns weaving and unweaving in slow, graceful motions. You stepped forward, and though the water was beneath you, you did not sink. Instead, the surface cradled your steps like solid ground, each ripple dissolving into silver light beneath your feet. The hush of the place wrapped around you, not empty, but full of something vast and knowing, something waiting to be understood. The cloaked figure followed, their movements soundless, as if they belonged to this place in a way you did not yet. They turned their unseen gaze toward the sky, where the constellations pulsed and shifted, forming symbols too fluid to decipher. Their voice, when it came, was quieter than before, almost part of the air itself. "This is the space where dreams begin," they murmured, "and where some choose to remain." The water reflected the stars. Yet when you looked down, your own reflection was absent, as though you were not merely walking upon this place, but becoming part of it. The sensation was neither strange nor unsettling, only weightless, as if you had stepped beyond the need for form. A single chime rang in the distance, low and resonant, rippling through the stillness like the first note of an unplayed song. The constellations above responded, their glow intensifying, shifting into a pattern that felt familiar. A memory not yet recalled, waiting just beyond reach. The cloaked figure turned toward you, their presence as steady as ever. "You may go further," they said, their voice barely more than a whisper against the vast quiet. "Or you may stay and let the dream hold you here." The silver thread that had guided you this far no longer stretched ahead. The choice was yours entirely. Would you continue into the unknown, or would you let the dream embrace you? Let yourself dissolve into the hush of its eternal waters. The stars above shimmered, waiting. The dream had not yet ended. Kayatum Part 8, Shiru Karna Chao. Smiling face with smiling eyes. Hash hash, you said. Next, hash hash, ChatGPT said. Part 8. The silence of the vast expanse did not press upon you. Instead, it cradled you in its endless stillness. The water beneath your feet shimmered like liquid starlight, reflecting a sky that did not remain fixed, but moved constellations, forming and unforming, shifting like ink upon an unseen canvas. Somewhere beyond, the distant chime rang once more, low and soft, a sound neither calling nor warning, only existing, like the breath of the dream itself. You glanced toward the cloaked figure, their form as steady as ever, untouched by the weightlessness of this place. Their hood tilted slightly, as though watching the sky, or perhaps waiting for something unspoken to take form. "This place does not ask for an answer," they murmured. "It only offers the question." The constellations pulsed in slow, rhythmic waves, their glow reflecting upon the water, upon the air, upon the unseen fabric of the dream. You took another step forward, and the ripples beneath your feet did not fade, but expanded, stretching outward, forming patterns of light that did not disappear, but remained woven into the very surface of the world. A memory stirred, not your own, yet somehow known. Figures moving through corridors lined with silver books, their hands tracing the edges of knowledge long forgotten. A city before the mist, before the hush, where voices wove through the streets like rivers of sound. A door left open, leading to the unknown, always waiting, always whispering. The cloaked figure's voice was softer now, almost lost within the hush. To walk forward is to become part of the dream's turning. The chime rang again, closer this time, resonating not through the air, but through you. The constellations above responded, their shapes shifting, aligning, forming something just beyond recognition. The water beneath your feet grew warmer, humming faintly, as though it too was waiting for you to decide. The space before you stretched onward, boundless and vast. Yet there was a sense that whatever lay ahead was not infinite, not truly. That, somewhere beyond the shifting constellations and silent waters, the dream had an end. You could stay. Let the hush take you. Let the dream hold you in its weightless embrace, where time would neither pass nor pause, but simply cease to matter. The stars would move, the water would ripple, and you would become part of the quiet turning of the world. Or you could step further. Follow the pull of the unseen, the call of the distant chime, and walk toward whatever lay beyond the dream's final threshold. The cloaked figure did not move, nor did they urge you in any direction. They only stood, silent and waiting, as the stars above shimmered and the water beneath you glowed, carrying your reflection at last. Would you remain, or would you continue? The dream had not yet ended. Kayatam Part 9, Shiru Karna Chahod. Smiling face with smiling eyes. Hash hash, you said. Next, hash hash, ChatGPT said. Part 9. The hush of the dream deepened as you took another step forward. The water beneath you pulsed with soft light, no longer reflecting the endless sky above, but revealing something beneath its glass-like surface, faint shapes, shifting and distant, like echoes of places that once were. Towers stood half-formed in the depths, their spires stretching toward the surface like reaching hands. Bridges curved in impossible angles, suspended in the weightless expanse of forgotten memory. This was not merely water, nor sky, nor reflection, but something else entirely, a threshold between what was and what could be. The cloaked figure remained beside you, their presence steady yet untethered, as if they too were part of this place rather than merely passing through. Their hood tilted slightly, as though they had sensed something unseen, something stirring beneath the hush of the silent expanse. The dream is unraveling, they murmured, their voice carrying the weight of something both inevitable and serene. It is time. The distant chime rang again, no longer distant. The sound rippled through the air, through the water, through you, resonating in a way that did not disturb the silence, but became part of it, merging with the quiet hum of the world's turning. The constellations above shifted once more, their light threading together, forming a path not of stone nor of mist, but of something softer, something woven from the very fabric of the dream itself. It stretched onward, leading toward a horizon that had not been there before. You felt no fear, only certainty, not of where you were going nor what lay ahead, but certainty that the choice had already been made. You stepped forward, and the world responded, not with resistance, not with urgency, but with quiet acceptance, as though it had been waiting for this moment longer than time itself. The water beneath your feet gave way to something solid, yet weightless, something not quite real, yet more real than anything you had ever known. The constellations pulsed in time with your breath, guiding you toward the unseen edge of the dream. cloaked figure did not follow, nor did they remain behind. Instead, their form wavered, dissolving into the shifting light, becoming part of the dream once more. Their voice lingered in the air, a whisper upon the silence. You have walked far. The chime rang one final time, low and deep, carrying you forward, past the final threshold, past the edge of knowing, past the hush of the sleeping world. The dream was ending. Kayatum Part 10, Shiru Karna Chauj. Ye final part Hoga. Smiling face with smiling eyes. Hash hash, you said. Next, hash hash, ChatGPT said. Part 10. The hush of the dream folded around you, soft as twilight, endless as the space between stars. The path before you shimmered, neither solid nor fleeting, but something in between, a thread of silver light woven from the fabric of the sleeping world. With each step, the dream shifted, unraveling and reforming, dissolving like mist before the first touch of morning. The water beneath you was no longer water, nor sky, nor reflection. It had become something else, weightless, infinite, carrying the echoes of forgotten places and unspoken memories. The constellations above pulsed gently, aligning one last time, their glow settling into a pattern that felt final, as though the dream itself had taken its last breath. A warmth spread through your chest, not the warmth of fire, nor of light, but something deeper, something softer. It was the warmth of knowing, of understanding, of returning. The path ahead grew thinner, fatting into the horizon, and yet you felt no hesitation, no uncertainty. Only the quiet pull of something beyond the dream, something waiting. The final chime rang low, resonant, carrying through the air like the last note of an unfinished song. It did not fade, did not break the silence, but became part of it, merging into the hush of the sleeping world one final time. You took the last step forward, and the dream let go. The mist dissolved, the water stilled, the constellations ceased their turning. For a moment, there was nothing. No light, no sound, no weight. Just the quiet between waking and sleep, where the world itself seemed to pause. Then, a breath, soft light filtered through unseen windows. The scent of rain and parchment lingered in the air. A distant bell tolled, not in the void of the dream, but in the world beyond it. Somewhere, a candle flickered, its flame swaying gently in the hush of morning. You opened your eyes. The dream was over, but somewhere, beyond the edge of waking, beyond the hush of the sleeping world, the dream waited, still patient, eternal, ready to unfold once more.